Okay, guys. Basically what I'm going to be doing here, pardon me, is going to be streaming some very basic strats, or very basic stuff for cache, A-site cache. Some real simple stuff. Really just taking a look at smokes in particular, and then maybe even how to defend against them. So it's gonna be some basically like similar, as I'd said before, similar to A-site Mirage, and how you know there's a standard set of smokes there for Mirage. We're gonna be doing what I call standard smokes on cache on A-site as well. So the first one that we're gonna do, we're gonna jump up here onto the second pipe. And some of these are a little tricky just because of the markings. We used to not have these antennas here. It used to just be all open. There's nothing there, no markings to go off of. Basically, this is the easiest one. It's maybe second easiest. So basically, you stand on this pipe here, and you aim in between this line and this line on these pipes, or kind of on the awning and railing here. So you can see that line right there. That line right there, just kind of pick in the middle, and then just to the left of it, basically you're going to throw this.
Throwing smoke.
Very simple sight smoke to allow complete access into the site. Now, the downside to that smoke is, of course, catwalk, where you can get up here on catwalk and you can see into the site. So for that, we have what I say is the second easiest smoke. Basically, you're going to get on this little E-box here, this little meter. Just push into the corner. And you're going to take this antenna right here, and this line right here, this extension of it. You're going to go 50% or halfway in between right here. And you're going to throw this one.
Laying down smoke.
None of these are jump throws, thankfully. He's going to smoke off catwalk. So the only way that they could really see into sight is here. As you can tell, there's no accuracy when you're on the ladder, so it's kind of pointless to be on the ladder other than just to spot what's in there. So you can't see into sight. And we'll go over the strat execute as to who has to watch for the cat smoke push. The last smoke, which I think is one of the more difficult ones, you have to tuck into this corner, basically between this little kind of E-box AC looking thing right here. And this one, actually, I kind of mess it up sometimes. But it helps to have a elite crosshair like this. You're going to be lining it up with, and I have mine bound to H. Basically this line right here, not the bottom one, the top one, right here. And then usually what I try to do is I try to split it, where I say, you know, right here, in between these two bars. You're going to line it up or your x-axis, I should say. The left to right is going to be splitting it. And I think that this one will work right here. Let's try right here. I might have to review this one, just depending. Okay. And this one does work. It blocks off highway. And thankfully this smoke lands kind of like right there. So unless somebody happens to push right here, in which case you can just modify it a little bit if you want to move it a little bit toward the site. Or I guess they could get in right here. In fact, let's just try that right now, real quick. Just aim it a little bit more to the right. And I think actually I started doing it based off of this, like the end of that point. Let's see how that works, if I remember correctly. I never do these smokes. Let's see. We'll go a little, yeah, like right there. Just a little bit off of it.
Smoke.
Okay, so this one still covers forklift. And pretty good coverage here. You'd have to be pretty ahead of the game to know to go right there. But it's just something to be aware of. So those are the three basic smokes. You can use them any round, pistol round, gun round, whatever. Doesn't matter. So again, I'll just kind of go over them. Basically, you have a cat smoke, you have the cross smoke, and the sight smoke that you throw. Basically, gives you complete access to the site from A main and squeaky. In a standard 2-1-2 play, that means that you would essentially have all 5, or at least 4, of the terrorists, fighting 2 CTs. And their setup, semi-important for these smokes, because sometimes people do like to smoke this spot right here. just to be able to get out of A main in case there's an opper here, or if you know that somebody likes to play NBK a lot, and they'll smoke right there to get out of squeaky in A main, to then be able to take the fight elsewhere first. Doesn't matter. I prefer to have the whole side open because I think that's a lot more useful. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to go through one by one each player, what they'll buy, and we'll use like the pistol round as an example. Since the aim punch was reduced with armorless opponents or whatever you want to call it, basically on a pistol round, it could be completely viable that you have multiple smokes. So the first player will come out of T-spawn. We'll just speed up a little bit. And so basically, you know, it doesn't matter who throws what over here. If you have 3 smokes, let's say the first guy will throw basically the cross smoke, because I think that this one is the most important. Excuse me, not the cross smoke, the sight smoke is what I meant to say. So usually how I like it is that this guy will smoke, or how I imagine it in my head, this guy smokes sight smoke, and then basically 2 flashes, overhead flashes that will they will blind anyone at quad, you know, all the way back here, anyone at NBK if you throw them deep enough, or basically you know, a truck player if for some reason somebody, if they're playing retake on A and they're playing way back here, it'll blind them as well. It won't blind this guy if there's a guy playing barrels, but it'll also blind a catwalk guy. So 2 flashes, so smoke, flash, flash, off a pistol round, and then what this guy will do is he'll probably have a Glock, or he will have a Glock, he won't buy anything else, and he'll just hold here. He'll hold here for the big flank. The small flank would be up highway, the big flank would be A main or squeaky. So he'll just basically hold, he can hold wherever he wants, basically to just be able to call that, hey, they're trying to retake via A main, or hey, they're trying to retake via squeaky. And so basically this guy just stays here while I show the rest of the strats. Now, next player, he can throw, he'll be on the little meter E-box. And, oh yeah, he's going to throw the cat smoke. This, well, actually, yeah, he'll throw the cat smoke. This one I feel is the least essential. Like if you don't want to have 3 smokes on a pistol round. Basically, this guy's the least essential one. That he will smoke catwalk, and I'll show you why, or you'll find out why in a little bit. So he smokes catwalk, which is great. You know, it's really useful. That way you don't really have to worry about it so much, because they really can gain a lot of the CTs can gain a lot of information on retake, since basically highway will be smoked off. Essentially, that you know, you don't want to not have to worry so much about catwalk. Basically, this guy can buy just smoke and upgraded pistol. So if he gets a smoke, upgraded pistol, after he throws the smoke, basically it's going to be then running right out squeaky. There's not going to be any pop flash. There's a little tricky pop flash that you can do. You can. Oh, I messed it up. But basically, no, I didn't open the door that way. If you want to get fancy, you just have 1 push squeaky. You can pop flash like that. Anyway, this guy's going to run out squeaky, and his first priority is going to be essentially checking this corner and forklift. Just checking right there to make sure there isn't a guy tucked in the corner. And he doesn't really have to worry about behind this box because the A main guys are going to clear that. But basically, he just comes out right here, and remember there is going to be a smoke that's right here. That he doesn't have to worry about highway, so it's immediately just check cat, and then he's going to turn to clear sight and quad, and then he'll be NBK. Third guy, and then we'll go into post plant stuff. Third guy, which I should have done this smoke next, but it's fine. Basically, we'll go a little bit off, and in fact, let's try this time. Let's try splitting this box. Try splitting it on the x-axis, and throwing it in line with this top black line there. I think actually it needs to be like a third of the way, not halfway. It needs to be like a third of the way, like right there.
Smoke.
So he's going to be smoke, upgraded pistol. You can hear that by the time you get here and open, these will be the smokes will have already popped. So when he comes out, basically this is the bomb guy. He's going to take the bomb. Bomb will always go squeaky, not A main. Bomb goes squeaky, just that way you have a chance to not go to site. You can easily get away if you need to. This guy, basically, he comes out, upgraded pistol, and he's going to be just following the first guy out, which will be clearing first cat, and the second guy doesn't even need to worry about cat, unless of course there's a guy there that kills the entry fraggers. Then you would need this guy to then come in and trade the kill. Basically, he's going to come in, and basically the priority being getting the trade kill, and then the secondary, priority or secondary objective is to get the bomb plant. This is the best plant spot for this execute. He doesn't need to go default since he does have the smoke here and the smoke on blocking highway. So he can just do an open plant, which is much better than the default plant, which is the standard plant over there in the corner, which is a safe plant. He just plants here in the corner, and then that's it. And then we'll go into post plant. I'll go over that in a little bit with what he does after the post plant. But we'll go to the A main guys next. So A main guys, these are the guys that they can do what they want to do. A lot of people will just default to throwing this smoke for the cross.
Throwing smoke.
Just kind of like that to block truck, to be honest. Unless you know that a team is specifically playing retake on A via pistol or for pistol round, there's not going to be anybody at truck. They're not going to be playing truck. I mean, maybe in some weird sense they would be. But there might be a guy like Fork or maybe Barrels, Catwalk, that area, in which case that smoke is easily just null and void. So, on a pistol round is what we're talking about. So, this guy doesn't even have to worry about this smoke right here. Across. He can basically just armor pistol if he wants. Or if you want to have smokes post plant, he can grab one. But I think that's too many for a pistol strat. You don't need that many. But basically, he's going to, armor pistol, let's say. We'll grab like a... he can upgrade a pistol, but he'll probably just have a Glock. Anyways, so basically his job, the first entry fragger over here, his job is to clear quad immediately, just to make sure if anyone's spotting it. He can take that fight because the crossfire setup, a CT should set up a crossfire in some sense that if the guy's playing quad or NBK, that you could expect the other guy to be over here on cat or forklift. So basically you're kind of setting up a crossfire in the sense that you're taking this guy, the entry fragger over here, is taking this fight first, and then here, and then based on what's called out are the fights that you take. The first guy in is going to take basically the fight straight here to quad. He's not going to turn to forklift. He's not even going to worry about cat, nothing. He's going to run straight in and take the fight to quad, NBK, and sight. Whatever order. Usually it's quad first, and then if he wants to go sight, he can, but I like to clear NBK first. So NBK sight, just in my mind, what I'm thinking like when I run in. And basically that's all that he does, is that, and then he then holds the sight, and we'll talk post plants. Second guy in, which is the fifth terrorist, basically since you don't need a lurk because you have this guy, the guy number one, or terrorist number one, holding the flank, the big flank. This guy does not have to stay in A main. He doesn't even have to, lurk on the other side of the map because it's an execute. You don't have to worry about a lurk or a backstab unless you want it. But this guy basically, so the first guy goes in, he runs to quad. Second guy in, right on his tail. He immediately turns. He does not worry about quad. He immediately turns to check fork and cat. And then he's going to set up here. So now we'll start talking post plants. So again, you have a smoke here. It's a little bit farther actually, but basically it allows him to be at forklift, and if you want, you can modify it to give him a little bit of a gap. Not that I recommend it because he's probably not going to have an upgraded pistol. He'll probably just have armor, so he's not going to want to take a fight with the Glock long range. So basically he's just going to be here, just kind of holding post plant. The bomb will be planted for him. It's no big deal. Bomb's planted for A main as well. So basically he's just going to be here waiting for that smoke to clear and kind of just jiggle peeking whatever's here to see when they come from truck or highway. So that's we'll kind of go in reverse order. So that was number 5. Basically he, the guy that comes here immediately clears fork and cat. If he doesn't want to stay here, that's fine. He can jump up to cat and play post plant up here. I wouldn't recommend it though, because I just think that that's kind of dumb. You can easily, not have a good time up there on cat with no cover, nothing to work with. So basically guy number 5, he's here. He handles anything crossing into the site. The guy number 4, that was the entry fragger from A main. When he comes into sight, he's probably just going to post up here because his goal is to clear quad, and he's probably going to play from here, holding like this. And after the smoke's clear, he doesn't have to worry about truck. He has to worry about highway. And the reason why is because the fort guy is going to be clearing truck, and this is the spawn wall is a very long time for when the fort guy spots compared to when they actually peak. So again, this is based on the smoke timings, that all the smoke should clear up at about the same time, essentially. That when it does clear, what's going to happen is that this guy, the first contact, will be, because basically in a post plant you have to kind of act like a CT. You have to think like a CT, that you're basically defending the bomb site. But thankfully you only have to do it for, you know, a fraction of the time. So first contact is the fort guy, and so this guy, the entry fragger number 1 from A main, does not have to worry about truck. He can just actively peek highway if he wants, and he can call whatever he wants. You know, he can actively jiggle peek it, you know, he can fight if he wants, or he can come back and he can help with catwalk if they want to give it up. Because again, fort guy is going to be able to call anything that crosses into sight. So then you have the bomb plant guy, and I think he was number 3, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he was number 3. So he comes out squeaky, and he doesn't have to worry about fighting anyone. He's just like the trade killer, or, you know, he gets the trade kills, and then he plants the bomb open. His job is to come here, reopen squeaky into the favorable angle for the terrorists, and then he just holds for any CT that's going to push the smoke. He doesn't have to worry about highway. He just worries about the smoke, because again, entry fragger number 1 on at A main, he's covering highway, and again, you have a lot of time when these guys are going to be spotted, and if you spot them, whatever, you know, unless they walk all the way up the side to ticket. But basically, you call what you see. If they happen to push the smoke on cat, or if you want to just kind of chill back a little bit and just jiggle peek this angle, and you have to kind of worry about both. But basically, you're hidden in A main, and again, it is planted for you, so you don't have to worry about it. The door's facing the correct way now, the favorable angle. So that's number 3, again in reverse order. He was the bomb planter, so then he just holds here in squeaky. And again, if he happens to go down for whatever reason, you have to realize that you still do have player number 1 all the way back here in squeaky that is just waiting for the big flank. That he can, you know, come for backup if the side is getting overwhelmed. That you do. Basically, they shouldn't expect 2 guys in squeaky. Maybe 1, so be it. Unless they happen to, you know, call out a guy here if he took a fight, in which case then they will know that there are 2 guys in squeaky. But you know, if he doesn't see anything, then basically he can come back and help. So that being said, as long as you have player 1, or the first terrorist, you know, watching A main, and the boost, and basically big garage from the large flank, nobody has to watch A main. Nobody has to watch A main, because player 1, or basically the first terrorist, has been watching the entrance to A main the entire time. So basically, all eyes can be off A main. Nobody even has to come and sit in A main. Nobody has to come in here and sit in the corner all, you know, all sneaky or anything like that. They don't have to jiggle the box, nothing, because A main is covered unless the first guy does call that he has to leave and that he's coming too squeaky. So anyways, that was player 3 and player 1. We just kind of went over player 1, who's right here. Basically, you know, just watching the big flank. And then your last guy, which was terrorist number 2, he's free to do whatever he wants. He can, you know, stay back here with the entry fragger from A main number 4. He can stay back here. They can boost over quad, which is usually not expected on a pistol round. He can just help with the fight on cat. He can help. I mean, sometimes they can be a little sneaky. If you want, you can just kind of, because you have a Glock, it's close range, you can just sit at default. Even when they see that the bomb is planted out in the open, they may not expect a player to be standing at default, because they're focused here, like, okay, the bomb was planted there, it's not planted here. So in their mind, you know, in a CT mind, when they're clearing, yeah, maybe they'll, if they're going to hard clear it, and they're going to be very thorough and diligent, then yeah, maybe they'll clear it. But in their mind, subconsciously, they're checking off that spot, because they say, okay, the bomb is not there, it's there, so they're just thinking subconsciously, okay, it's clear, when in which case there's a terrorist here. So again, I guess, you know, terrorist 2 has the most freedom, but essentially that's all that it is. It's very simple. Execute, again, it's 3 smokes that pop at the same time, essentially. You have complete control of the bomb site. Sorry, I threw that one a little bit bad. And I'll go over them one more time. If you do have extra smokes like on a gun round, you can do things like smoke A main. Like if you pull the guy off of the big flank, you can aim for right here in this little black triangle right there. Same right there. perfect smoke for A main. If you're, you know, back here and you want to smoke highway, or first we'll molly highway. If you want to molly highway, you can just aim right here at this little spot. If you make like a little square right there, just aim right in the middle.
Throwing fire.
That's gonna molly highway, and basically they can't get through that. They would have to push the molly and go up the ladder, which is slow. Another smoke to smoke off highway if you want. Basically, line it up. It's going to be the same height as this, so if you split here, and it's kind of awkward because basically this is not at like a level surface to the bottom of your screen compared to where you start. So you just, oh, sorry, basically you tuck yourself for both of these. You just tuck yourself into the corner for the molly as well. But for the smoke, you can just kind of
Let's go, let's go!
just line it up right there in that same little square, and then just split that crane, the crane head. Like
Throwing
that.
smoke.
Perfect smoke for highway. And yes, they can get up the ladder, but they'd have to then be daring enough to actually do that. What else can we talk about here for A main? Because those are basic smokes I think everyone should know. How to smoke off A main,
Laying down
how to
smoke.
smoke highway. And the molly for A main is basically the same thing. You basically jump up in the corner, same as the smoke. And you toss it in the same spot, but it is going to land a little bit in front. So if you smoke, like if you're CT, you smoke and then molly behind it, and push the smoke. Basically, you'll have to run the Molotov first. What else do we have here? I'm not really going to go over flashes too much. It's just because flashes, I think most people know flashes. Back here to smoke A main, just hug up against the truck wherever you want and aim in between the little hammer sickle, right in that little gap right there.
Throwing smoke.
That one was actually a little bit bad because there's a gap, but it basically it's that spot essentially. I guess you can do a pop flash like right there. Like if you're gonna pop flash, or not pop flash. If you're going to flash someone into A main, you just aim in the middle of this line right here, right there in the middle,
Deploying flashbang.
and it's gonna pop right inside perfectly to blind any terrorists. We went over the cross smoke. If you're gonna smoke the cross right there. Which, again, it's fine if you only have one smoke to just get you into the site. Let's see, if you let's talk about post plant. If you're in post plant and the bomb was planted default in there, and you're in A main, you can molly to basically, you know, stop the bomb from being defused. Basically in that exact area. Okay, a molly strat, like if it's an anti-eco strat, you are going to want to buy Molotovs. You can molly, basically, molly fork, like that. That's the corner here. If you suspect that they're playing eco, like basically the CT's on eco, you can molly behind, like that, to clear out a spot there. If you know that they're on eco, and you peek this, and obviously, you know, if they're on eco, there's no op or scout or anything like that. You peek this, and you don't see anyone, you can molly quad. That's an easy one. But a lot of people forget to molly NDK, which is where a lot of CTs like. Sorry, that was a bad one. A lot of CTs like to play because it's a little closer up. So you molly NDK. I don't really like this molly. Because this one, I prefer the one that's up here, but you can kind of like molly like right there on that spot. Sorry, but it doesn't get default. It just kind of clears out the backside. That's why I say you can kind of aim for like the A if you want.
Throwing fire.
That'll clear out kind of this general area at default in case CT's playing close. And you always want to make sure that you clear this spot here as well. Let's see, anything else? I'll go over highway smoke. If you do, excuse me, if you do want to boost up here. Oh wait, no, that's the other smoke. This is a good highway smoke. If you see this, you can barely see it. There's a little like kind of dark brown rectangle right there. You aim above it, like at this railing. So right at that brown square or brown rectangle, aim above it, uncrouch,
Laying down
throw.
smoke.
There's your highway smoke. So if you'd rather do that smoke and this smoke, which is fine, do that one rather than this one, that's fine. Basically, you could have your smoke right here and your highway smoke, and then just not worry about sight. Which is, like I said, that's fine because you should, and then you can do catwalk as well. This is a long run before they're peeking the site. You would just have to, it's not going to be a safe plant. You would have to plant default since this is all open back there. That's it for A site. You know, for the most part. There's there are a couple cool flashbangs and stuff, but we're not going to worry about those. Like I showed you the one in there. Other than that, let me think if there's anything else. You can do one smoke. I think it's right here, I want to say. I think it's right here. Where basically I take this spot and I line it up with like not the pin, but like the little clip on the front of the smoke. And left plus right click. And it's good enough. You can obviously just kind of move it a little bit to the right. So this one right here, the pin, and just let's try splitting those two, or let's just go a little bit off of it.
Smoke.
Left and right click. Yes, that's pretty good. Just in case if you are playing default and you want to throw a smoke and you don't want to chance, you know how to throw it. Throwing from back here is pretty tough because it pretty much just always goes too deep or too shallow. It's really hard to get a sweet spot. Other than that, everything else is pretty good. Of course, you know, you can, if you're ever, you know, having a tough time getting out of Squeaky, you can smoke yourself off. That way you can get out of Squeaky. Sorry, I did it a little too far. I think that you aim like right at this spot right here. And that will allow you to get out of Squeaky by yourself and cross all the way onto site. So you can see that's a nice smoke there. Again, that's if you want to get out Squeaky safe and not have to worry about quad guy. A lot of times the CT will just fall in beyond smoke. But other than that, that's a good pistol strat. So again, I'm going to go over the basic strats. Or the point of this video. Smoke number 1, all the way up on the pipe. Split this line right here and this line right here, just slightly off from the railing or the awning. Next we'll do catwalk smoke, which jump up on the meter. Aim halfway in between these two for this antenna.
Laying down smoke.
And last but not least, this one, which I usually need the marker for because you're going to be going off of this dark line, the top dark line, and then kind of 1/3 in from this side on this block, essentially splitting these two right here. We'll go about 1/3 in and up. We'll go like right there.
Laying down smoke.
And that is the cross smoke. It also covers forklift. Alternatively, if you would like to bait in CTs, here's a good idea. Smoke sight, smoke cat, and then if you smoke the cross, so basically they all pop at the same time, and then you bait them into taking this fight early. Because the reason why I said that you kind of want to do this on a pistol round is because when the USPs do have the range advantage, you want to draw them into close quarters. That way you can not give yourself the advantage, but at least give yourself a better chance with the Glocks, or whatever you may have. If you bait them into a fight here, you want to make sure that this guy does have an upgraded pistol of some kind. Probably not armor, but maybe some kind of upgraded pistol, unless he's really good with the Glock, to be able to take these fights long range, which will stop them. It'll basically slow them down. When they have to worry about taking this fight, and he has not one, but two spots that he can peek from, unless they happen to have a molly to clear him out, they're going to have to take this fight. And they will basically stop the CTs from running in over on this side through the smoke, which they shouldn't really do anyways. But you can do the standard cross smoke, which is a little bit, or a lot easier, I should say. And then just have your fork guy play from right here, off of forklift, and basically kind of bait in the fight. Playing first contact like that, it's fine. It's just that, you know, you just got to be confident in that guy. You don't want to give them a way in and say, okay, basically if this guy dies, your eyes for how close they're getting up are completely gone. And then basically it's a matter of time before they get in, because then they can go fork easily. You have no idea how close they are to sight, all that kind of stuff. So other than that, that's the A site execute for cache, standard smokes. I think it'd be really useful for everyone to learn those. Just learn all three. They're very simple, and they're all thrown from right in that little cluster. And I think everyone knows the cross smoke already. And then also the highway smoke and A main smokes that I already went over. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to other sites and go from there. And I'll catch you guys next time.